Okay, today I'm going to give you a reloading tip, and specifically I'm going to talk about the RCBS powder lockout die. Now, if you've got a progressive press like this, it's very nice for loading pistol ammo. You can just keep cranking them out there. Every time you pull the handle, you're getting one round of loaded ammunition. But one of the problems you got to be careful about is your powder thrower and making sure that you don't accidentally get a double charge or a squib load. If you run out of powder in here, or for several reasons there's a malfunction or a clog in here to where you're getting no powder, then you're going to be in serious trouble. You just pumped out a round that has no powder in it, you're going to get a squib load and you could explode your gun. Likewise, if something happens to where you are turning the press and you don't turn it far enough and the press doesn't advance, you might accidentally feed twice and get a double charge in there. Either way, this RCBS lockout die is very nice because it kind of protects against both those conditions. So let me show you how to use this and how to adjust it. So this is the dies that you would normally have in your progressive press. You've got the deprime and resize, you've got the powder and expansion die, you've got then the RCBS lockout die, then you'll have your bullet seeder, and then in my case at the end I have a Lee factory crimp die at the last step. Now this goes after your powder charge, but before you put the bullet on. So the way this works is it's got a plunger in here, and it's also got a second ring where the brass pushes up against it. So that plunger has to be at the right depth for the powder charge before it'll allow the case to feed into the die. Otherwise it'll stop the press. So let me show you how to adjust this thing. You hold the bottom and you can turn the top left or right to, there's an internal screw in here that sets the depth of the plunger, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the proper powder charge in here in order to adjust this die. Okay, there's the case. It has the powder inside of it, right, at the right level. I put this RCBS lockout die, I do this off the press. It's easier to do it off the press. And notice this white line is too high. This white line needs to be right at the level of the top of the die here. So I need to shorten this plunger, turn it to the right a little bit. Okay, still too high, turn it to the right. Okay, still too high. Almost. Okay, right there. Now, notice it's got a little bit of a bump right there still, so you might still fine-tune back to the left a little bit or something like that. It should just feed in there smoothly without feeling any bump or without any resist. Okay, there it is, perfect right there. There's no bump. It just feeds right in. That allows the case to slide into the die. What this does is, it's adjusted with this powder charge. Let's say, for example, I had a misfeed and there was no powder in this case. This case was empty. The plunger would notice that, and it blocks the brass from being able to go into the die. So on your progressive press, this will lock out the press to where you can't make full, you'll notice it right away. When you're pulling the handle, it'll just stop right there. If you force it, it's actually strong enough to crush the brass. So you'll notice that the brass has been damaged. That stops the press and alerts you right away. You've got an empty charge in there, and you need to figure out if there's a problem with your powder, ran out of powder, or didn't feed right or something like that. Likewise, if there is a double charge, it would do the same thing. It'll lock it out. You can determine that somehow you got a double charge in there. So I always use this whenever I'm loading all my ammo. I did have a couple malfunctions on the powder thrower. One time it ran out of powder, and this, I should have been paying attention, but I wasn't, and this thing locked the press out, tells me right away I've got a problem. Also, sometimes you get a case that has debris in there. One time I had like a dead bug or a cricket or something in there, and when the powder went in there, the powder was like too high in the case. So, your empty space in the case being filled up by debris, it lets me know that too. So, I really recommend this for loading on a progressive press. Kind of helps you out, maybe save you from a costly mistake.